Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I have a dupes video for you. I love doing dupes. I've been doing them for years, but I'm always very selective. So today I have a lot of dupes, and then I have one or two that I wanted to show you that I've heard are dupes that I don't really believe are. Does that make sense? So I'll save those for the end if you're not interested. I don't know. But even with the ones I'm saying that aren't truly dupes, I still like both products. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But if you enjoyed this kind of video, I hope that you will subscribe and give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in my last dupes video, that was a couple months ago, maybe like 6 months, I really don't know. I will link it below. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get into it. Where to begin? Holy moly. So I'm gonna try, I would say most of these I'll be trying on my face. So half of my face I used high-end stuff, half of it I used drugstore. See if you can guess which. First thing, let's start with something that I was very excited to find. I recently did a facial oils video, like primer oils, and how I use them, which ones I love, from cheap ones to expensive ones. Well, one of the ones I mentioned is the Smashbox primer oil. It's really expensive in my opinion. However, you don't have to use a lot each time you use it, and I'll put this on as a step before I put on like a regular primer. Sometimes I'll use just this, but oftentimes I'll put this on my face, let it sink in for a few minutes, it's extra moisturizing, then I put on a primer, foundation, etc. So that's how I've been using it. Well, I found out that NYX came out with this Hydra Touch oil primer, and guys, these are the exact same products. I cannot express to you that I could be blindfolded and I would have no idea which one was which other than like feeling the packaging. It is a little bit different. So one thing, Smashbox packaging is nicer. They're both glass bottles, but the lid on the NYX one you'll kind of feel is a little dingy feeling, but it works. So that's fine. The other thing, the Smashbox comes with 1 fluid ounce and the NYX one comes with 0.67 fluid ounces. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, if you've never tried one of these and you're not even sure that you're gonna like it, you might not want a full fluid ounce either. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I applied the Smashbox one to this side of my face. Now you know which side is high end. And then I applied the NYX one to this side. And so I like to kind of rub it in a little bit and then press it into the skin. And you can see that it adds a lot of moisture. At first your skin kind of looks oily, literally, because you are putting an oil on it. But after a few minutes, it just kind of sinks in and it's so moisturized. I feel like it's a beautiful canvas for makeup because you know, all of those dry areas you have are soothed, if you will. So I really do feel like these have the exact same effect. For me, these are true dupes. If I ever ran out of like the Smashbox, I would just buy the NYX one. And if you've not bought either, I would still just buy the NYX one because I really think that there's no reason, unless you just wanted a full, unless you wanted just a full fluid ounce, there's no reason to spend the money on the Smashbox one. The NYX one is absolutely the same thing. Another product I love using in the mornings is my Milk Cooling Water Stick. Now this is kind of a minty feel to it where it's cooling. You can use it all over your face. Oftentimes I just focus it around my eyes. But the one thing that drives me crazy about it is how big it is. Because I only use it mostly around my eyes, it's hard to kind of get around there and like in that little crease there. Well, in walks the Physicians Formula Refresh Mint Eye Depuffer. It's got cucumber and bamboo. They are different colors, but I mean, these are clear, completely clear, transparent products. I like this one better. And the reason I like it better is not only because it's a little bit smaller of a stick so I can really get around there easily. I feel like this has just a little bit more of a minty cooling effect than the Milk one does. And that's what I'm wanting. I'm not using these to cure fine lines or anything like that. I know they're not doing that. But what I am using it for is that refreshing feeling in the morning. My eyes are tired. I want them to wake up. You know, I haven't had my first sip of coffee. It's 6 in the morning. I've got to go to work. It's a Monday. All of those things that suck right before, you know, work. This at least makes it just a little bit better. So with that in mind, again, I would recommend the Physicians Formula. Not only is it much cheaper, but it's easier to use and it feels better. Because neither one of these are going to be like a sudden healing product that cures, you know, all these under eye woes. That's not what they're about. So knowing that, I say save your money. This is the one I reach for more often anyway. This Milk one has 1.2 ounces. This one only has 0.45. So this is more than double. And you have to look at the price and think, well, if I bought 2 of these, would it be around the same price? And if you're dying to try this, then maybe it is worth it. It's kind of one of those things, but I still just enjoy the actual formula of this one better, you know? But that's always, and that's why I'm trying to check all the ounces, because that's always something to keep in mind. Oftentimes drugstores could actually have very, very similar formulas, but they'll just give you less sometimes because they know that, well, if we're gonna make any profit off of this, we're gonna need to, you know what I'm saying? And I get it. It kind of stinks, but I get it. And at least that's a way that you could try these products without breaking the bank. Lots of skin primary products today. I've been on a kick. So I have loved for a while the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. This is great if you like kind of more of a dewy, radiant look to your skin. And when I say radiant, I don't mean like glittery, I don't mean shimmery, because that's not at all the effect this gives. Because that was my original fear. I'm like, I don't want to put like something shimmery all over my face to put foundation on top of. That's not this at all. So it's a really nice packaging, frosted glass. You can see the pearlescent formula of this product. But what I do is I just get a little bit and I'll put it all over my face, just as if it's a primer. That's how I treat it, like a primer. And it just gives this really nice glowy effect. Now, I've been trying the Physicians Formula Spotlight Illuminating Primer as well. I am very happy to say that this is I swear to you, the exact same. It looks exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. Even in swatches it does, and you can see as I'm applying it to the other half of my face, the same after look. They stay on. Now, are either one of these primers gonna hold on to your foundation and make it last longer? No. The point of these primers is not to make your foundation last longer. It's really just to give that glow from within underneath your foundation. I love products like this. I probably have, I'm embarrassed to say, like 12 primers similar to this, but the Physicians Formula is the closest I found to this one. And they both they're my favorite ones of those kinds of primers because they do just impart that glow that you look at someone that's wearing it and you're like, wow, they're so effortless. Look at their skin. But odds are they're probably using something like this under their foundation. And so while it might look effortless, they might just look dewy, these products can absolutely give that effect. You gotta see it to believe it on your own skin. Does that make sense? I really, really like these. But totally the drugstore beats out the Becca. And by beats out, I mean they're the same. So go either way, but you can certainly save a ton of money. Let's talk about a concealer. Now, this is not a shade dupe, which that wouldn't make sense anyway, because concealer, we all wear different shades. But I have loved this NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. Now, that's with the caveat, I did not like it at first. It was really drying. I was using it under my eyes, and I'm like, ugh. But I started using it on breakouts, and I also use it as an eye primer. That's how I used it today. Oh, I love it so much. It's so, especially as an eye primer, even though it's not at all how it's marketed, it cancels everything out. It holds on to shadow. I freaking love this stuff. So the formula of it really is, like it says, a soft matte formula. So it's creamy, but it really does dry down to kind of a matte finish. Well, then I tried this Milani Secret Cover Cream Concealer. Now here's the thing. This is the lightest shade and it's too dark for me, so I can't actually use it in any way that's useful to me. I'm hoping they expand their shade range on all ends. But this is a very similar formula. At first when I swatched it, I'm like, oh, it's like kind of greasy. Like that's, you know, but once you actually blend it in, it really does dry down to this kind of matte feel. That's a very similar feel. Now again, if you're lighter or if you're darker, you're not going to be able to find a shade in this. But if you're kind of in the medium range, you probably can, and it's worth a try. Now, do I think these are formula-wise exact dupes? No. I think that this one, like I said, is just a little bit more emollient. But I think if you can find a shade, it's worth a try, because I do feel like as I've looked at it and I put shadow on top of it, I'm like, it really gives a similar look to this. I do think the NARS one's a little bit more higher coverage. This one's a little bit more emollient. So there's just slight differences, but they're similar enough that I'm like, I feel like this is worth mentioning. I almost didn't talk about it. I was like, I'll mention it in case someone sees this and they see their shade and they're, you know, I think it's worth a try. I have a brush dupe. This is the Anastasia A23 highlighter brush. I used it today on my right side, and I recently bought the Milani All Over Blending Brush. Holy cannoli. This stuff, it's the exact same thing. It's the same shape, and frankly, the Milani one is so much softer. It washes better. The Anastasia one is more of a natural bristle, so it, you know, kind of tends to stick out, and the more I wash it, the worse it gets. And I haven't even had it that long. And the Milani one, the more I wash it, it's just as soft. It's really not changing. Now, I do think this is more synthetic, but it gives the same effect for so much cheaper. And I'm like, they're both cute brushes. I like it because I can dip just the side of these into highlight and just get it right there, and then I'm done. If I want to throw a little bit on the tip of my nose, but they're just kind of effortless to use, and I appreciate that. So I really like both, but like I said, the Milani one I do think has actually more pros than the Anastasia one. And I'm just gonna mention this one, but I wanna say that I don't own the NARS one. So I know some of you guys will be like, well, you don't own it, you don't even know. But I figure, again, it's worth mentioning for the sake of knowledge. So this is a brush from Japanesque. It was like 20 bucks, so it's still not super cheap, but I bought it at Ulta a while ago. And I like it. Today I used it for contour. Oh no, today I used it for my initial highlight. I used like more of like just a glowy highlight with this, and then I used a more specific super pow highlight with the other brushes. But you can use it for bronzer, blush, whatever you want, really. It's really soft, it washes well. This is, looks-wise, totally a dupe for the really expensive NARS Yachio brush, and I'll put it on the screen now. Like I said, I've not felt that one. I will assume that one's gonna be super soft, but this one's really soft too. They're both tapered, they have the exact same shape handle. It's kind of like this like kind of bamboo-y wooden kind of a feel. And I feel like, you know, NARS brushes can be so hyped up, but they're so ridiculously expensive, which is why I don't own it. So I wanted to mention this one. If you've just been eyeing that, or maybe it's been in your wish list and you're just like, oh, I really want it, go buy this, girlfriend, because it's like 20 bucks, which is still expensive, but it's really, really good, and at least it will kind of like appease that part of you that likes the shape of it. Because for me, I just like the shape of it. Another primer dupe. Oh, I love this primer so much. This is the Laura Mercier Foundation Primer in Hydrating. Long ago, back when I feel like all the old YouTubers were talking about Laura Mercier's products. And I mean, she's still around and I love a ton of her products, but I feel like there was a long stretch like 5 or 6 years ago where a lot of Laura Mercier's products were very, very hyped up. Well, back then I tried one of the just original primers, and I think I tried a tinted moisturizer in similar packaging, and I was just like, meh, you know. Well, then I learned that they have this hydrating version, and I was like, do tell, need to try. So I bought it. I fell in love day one of using this, and this was, you know, quite a few months ago. It's a very, almost gel-like, but it's still creamy, kind of a formula, and it just, my skin just drinks it up. I feel like I always have a good makeup day when I use this, and that's huge because there is nothing worse than getting ready and looking at yourself and being like, my skin looks terrible, or you know what I'm saying? And I know most of you guys watching are like, yes, girl, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had one of those today while I was getting ready. Anyway, so love this product. It's expensive. So I had already loved this NYX Hydra Touch Primer. I feel like I've talked about a lot of NYX today. Well, no, I really have. NYX is very good at duping things. Anyway, I'd already loved this. And recently, I was trying this and I was like, gosh, this really does remind me of that NYX one. So then I just kind of swatched them, as much as you can swatch a primer, next to each other. And I realized, you know what? These are like the exact same thing. Like exact. The NYX one has a blue tint to it. I mean, they're translucent once you blend them in, so it doesn't matter. They look and feel the exact same on the skin. I feel like, again, I have a good makeup day with both of these. There's a reason I love both. And I feel like they're the exact same thing. So don't let the blue throw you off, because they have the same look on the skin, the same feel, the same kind of wear time, if you will. I love both. I kind of feel like I love both so much, even though they're the same thing, that I want to always have both in my collection. Is that dumb? That's dumb, I know, because they really perform the same, but I love them both so much. I say both weird, don't I? Both. A lot of people point that out and I'm like, oh. I didn't realize I did. I'm like, I guess, what am I supposed to say? Both? Both? Both is what I say, both. Next up is the Cover FX Custom Cover Drops. Now, there are a bunch of products out there that are similar to this. Like I know Hard Candy has some pigment drops. Well, those pigment drops I owned for a while and they got so weird so quickly. And I've had this for quite a while and the formula is just like when I first opened it. So what I use this for is to lighten or darken foundations. I have 2 shades and I do exactly that. I use the lighter one I have to lighten foundations. I'll put just a couple drops. It's a little dropper. And I'll just mix them on my hand and then use my sponge to apply it. Perfect. It works perfectly. And what I love about the Cover FX is it doesn't affect the actual foundation's formula. Now, one that I was trying, because I'd heard it was a dupe, was the NYX Total Control Foundation Drops. This is meant to be a foundation, but you can also mix it with moisturizer, and you can do the same with the Cover FX to make more of a tinted moisturizer. And I'd also heard a lot of people were using it to lighten or darken foundations. Well, I tried it this way quite a few times with quite a few foundations. And what I've realized is this really does, because it is meant to be more of its own foundation, it really does affect the foundation's formula and the overall look, other than just the shade. So while I do think this is a cheaper version if you're in need of something to lighten or darken foundation, but you don't want to spend a bunch of money because you don't think you're going to use it a bunch, I would say go with the NYX one. I know NYX has another product that's darkening and lightening. I haven't tried those like specifically for that, but it's not the same format as far as I know. I think it's more of like a squeezy tube kind of a thing. Not that that matters. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so out of these two, I really do still love the custom cover drops, especially if you can find a shade that's just perfect for changing things for you, or if you find one that's perfect and you'd much rather just mix it with your moisturizer, go to town like it's a tinted moisturizer, and that's it. It's just so versatile and I really, really like it. I get these sometimes. The other shade, the darker shade I bought on HauteLook for half off. So just keep your eyes on that website because I'll link it below, because sometimes Cover FX is on there. You can get you some for 50% off. Another product that I had heard was a dupe and I just don't quite think so. And I'll show you what I mean. This is one of my favorite products. This is the Dior Lip Glow. This is one of those products that's kind of a clearish pink, and it's supposed to kind of use the temperature and pH of your lips to change colors to be your perfect pink, that kind of a thing. Well, I freaking love this stuff more than I ever thought I would, but it definitely has a nice, like at least with my skin tone and my lips, definitely darkens to a darker pink. Well, I had recently been sent this Catrice Volumizing Lip Balm. From what I'd heard, this was a very similar dupe because it kind of changes color. Well, this is much, much lighter. Now this does have a little bit of a tingling effect, which does feel actually very nice. And while I do really like this product and it's really inexpensive, I would totally recommend it. I literally will throw this in my purse and use it all the time. It's just not exactly the same. And you can already see that these are changing with my skin tone. I don't know why I put it in quotes, but sometimes I feel like they don't change and I'm like, This is more of just plumping, not really that color change, and this is more color changing. So something to keep in mind. I really like both, but I do think they serve different purposes. So don't let the fact that the packaging looks very, very similar throw you off. They're both good, but they're not the same. So that is all I have for you today. If you have any dupe recommendations, let's get a conversation going down below, because I know I freaking love dupes. It's like the most exciting thing in the world to find. Especially when the dupe beats out the high end, or it's at least the exact same. So with that in mind, let us know below your best dupes, and I would love to start planning for a new video and try some of your recommendations out as well. And if there's anything that you've been trying or you're wanting to try that's really expensive and you're dying to know a dupe for it, let me know that below as well, so I can kind of keep my eyes peeled and start trying different things. I feel like my hair is crazy today. Anyway, I hope you'll subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.